Welcome, viewers, to my show in conversation with. Thank you so much for your support and watching my program for a long time. Every Sunday evening, I'm hosting this program. In fact, earlier we used to have 5 o'clock on Saturday, and we moved to Sunday now. The purpose of doing this series to present some of the great individuals who are accomplished business leaders, entrepreneurs, thought leaders who can share their professional experiences, their learnings, their challenges, and how did they really overcome those challenges in their corporate ladder, became very strong and became high performance leaders. I had several of them in my shows in the previous episodes. We had Dr. Gopalakrishnan, Chief Executive of Forts Laboratories. He took the organization from 1.5 crores to 600 crores. We had Mr. Manoj Salaman, a small business owner, grew
Wow.
tremendously big. And we have Rishabh C. Kotari, the CEO and the director of CKC Group of Companies, West Bengal. And we had Mr. Chandrakant Chalunke, who's the president of SME Chamber of India, Mumbai, and Mr. Kumar Rajagopalan, vice president, country head of Diocese, so on and so forth. Mr. Vishal Hasti Surana, the retail champion in the Chennai market, Arihant retail business, managing director. So in this series, we have a very interesting professional leader from the corporate world, and these kind of in conversation with series really eventually help corporate executives, entrepreneurs, startup owners, students, small business owners, and so on and so forth, who aspire to become a successful human individual in toto 360 degree across the spectrum of life. It's my proud privilege to introduce one such guest, a thought leader, a corporate leader in my today's program, who is none other than Dr. Pramod Sadar Joshi. Welcome, Dr. Pramod.
Namaste. Thank you very much, Anand.
Uh, Thank you so much, Pramod, for your kind consent, and thank you very much for your time to be with us and present your insights to our viewers. I would like to take a couple of minutes to introduce your
Sure.
profile to viewers, people who do not know Dr. Pramod Sadar Joshi. So, Dr. Pramod is a founder and CEO of Talent Smith Consulting from Mumbai. He's a startup architect, business transformation leader, leadership expert, keynote speaker, and he's a certified Marshall Goldsmith stakeholder centered coach. And is also a certified independent director on the boards of companies. And he's a PhD holder from European Globalist School, Paris. When I look at his profile, Dr. Pramod has grew the ladder from Citibank as assistant vice president, then HDFC Bank as vice president head HR, Cognizant director head HR, Computer Sciences Corporation director head HR, Microsoft director and head HR, JP Morgan, KPMG, Oracle. Oracle, I think, senior director, Asia Pacific HCM strategy and transformation. This is a way in which Dr. Pramod has scaled up his corporate ladder, and today he's with us. It's a proud moment for our viewers to listen to Dr. Pramod. So, with this wonderful CV of Dr. Pramod Sada Joshi, I would like to share the last one line, which is something fascinating to me while I was going through his profile, which is last but not the least, he is a certified international heartfulness coach and trainer. So let's get into the show and listen more with Dr. Pramod Sada Joshi. I welcome Dr. Pramod once again for this in conversation with series.
Thank you so much, Anand. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to Sea Change Consulting, of which you're a founding partner, and to yourself for having reached out. It's always wonderful to share some thoughts with amazing achievers who are on this call, who've tuned in. And my God, that was quite a bit of thing you read. But yes, all of that comes from a lot of conviction and passion. So I'm very glad to be here. So before I start, I would like to say, take a bow, and I pun is intended. Take a bow is take BAU as in business as unusual, and take a bow is also my respects to a lot of wonderful people who have gathered on this call. We're really going to talk about what's going on out there. There's so much of mayhem, disturbance, disruptions. What really are the leadership challenges? And how do you cope with really things that are going to be coming on based on diagnostics and analytics that are on the table. And then how do you get into a prescriptive model? That's what I thought I'll share more based on my solid online real-time experience than give out a lot of theories.
Absolutely, Dr. Pramod. And as you rightly said, that is the theme of today's conversation. The theme of the conversation is all about business as unusual in this pandemic scenario. The why and how is
Right,
what we are going to discuss as we go along.
right.
So
Yeah.
I would like to get on to my questions to you, Dr. Pramod.
Sure, sure, sure.
So we have about four segments. The segment A, which deals with a few questions about your academics and your personal background. So the question is, Dr. Pramod, if I may ask you to look back your journey from school days to whatever till now, until now. So what would you like to say to the viewers?
Well, actually, I rather go into details. I'll actually highlight a key navigational point which came into my life. So I studied from St. Paul's Convent, and then after that went on to Kendriya Vidyalaya. So I am a proud KV product, which has got the rigor. That's thanks to my father being an Air Force officer, and therefore, as a result of which, a lot of discipline, ethics, inclusiveness, ability to mingle with people because in defense services you move around a lot of people. Believe you me, these skills which are not taught at business schools are the real differentiators when you start your career about taking people along. Um, the key navigational point was, I have a very interesting combination at my graduation. And I've always been a very studious kind of a guy, so always in the top 3 or 5. So the key navigation point was I had topped my university in my graduation first year and second year. And I had an amazing weird combination, which a lot of people may fall off the chair. I had mathematics, I had psychology, and English literature. Chalk
Oh,
and cheese. Chalk and cheese. Yeah. And it so happened in the third year, my professor, head of department, knew that this guy will be already aiming at two streams: UPC examinations and IMs, the CAT examination. For most, people of my profile, middle class, coming wanting to be an achiever, go getter, it was very important to crack. As soon as the graduation door closes, you go into this. And he called me one day and he said, "Look, it's your life, but I have a suggestion." I said, "What, sir?" "You must be preparing for IAS and MBA already." I said, "Yes, sir. I'm taking CAT and appearing for UPSC. I have a suggestion. Consider it. It's your decision." I said, "What?" "Can you defer those two examinations for next year?" "Why?" He said, "Because you are so close to becoming a university topper in the final
oh.
year.
Mhm.
Now, you could take UPSC and CAT next year, but you cannot take your final year graduation again.
Okay.
Whatever marks you get, that is frozen for lifetime." That night was a sleepless night. On one
Okay.
hand, I had to, he's saying you're standing on two stools, don't stand on two stools. You drop those, you can take them next year, but do not miss this chance out to be a university gold medalist. Believe you me, I was less caring about gold medal and more interested in cracking the IAS or the MBA, right? Believe me. But he made sense, and then I took 2 days to take a decision. And then you'll not believe, Anand, I actually took a decision to drop that year's IAS and CAT.
Mhm.
And I focused because you only have 24 hours and you only have that much brain capacity. Shooting for all the three, my fear was, what if I don't make it either ways? So I said, let's
Correct.
shoot for one. So I went and said, "Sir, you're like my guru, Bhishma Pitamaha. I agree with you. I've dropped those examinations." So I took my final examinations, and my only prayer was, now I better get my gold medal because I've deferred my MBA and UPSC by one more year. And I was praying, and sometimes God answers your prayers. Thank God I got my university gold medal because I felt
Absolutely.
very satisfied and very endorsed that I gave up those two. So now I was sitting to prepare for my 1 year. 1 year I wanted to do some course, but basically prepare for my IAS and MBA. But came along a friend who suggested, "Why don't you try the Tata Institute of Social Sciences? It is on par, if not equal, with the IIMs, especially in the field of human capital management." So I actually, Anand, took that game as a test, as a customization test, okay, so that I know what a business school's admission test is in preparing for the CAT. And lo and behold, I got through with Tata Institute
Okay.
for my MBA in HR program. Then I
Mhm.
was in another Hobson's dilemma: should I go for it or should I not go for it, or should I take one more year? A lot of people said, "Listen, buddy, within management streams, there is marketing, finance, HR. In HR, your Tata Institute is the best in Asia. So don't give it up. Next year you may not even go through. So I took up that course with still one eye on my MBA and UPSC. But believe you me, when you get into an MBA course, the rigor is so much. Believe you me, to be very honest, I could not get the time to prepare for UPSC. I mean, that's me, okay? Maybe somebody else could have done it. And that's how I graduated from TISS. And I started my career in the human capital management. So today though today I'm more in the business strategy space. And God's grace and a lot of luck, I got to some marquee brands which already read out, from an engineering company called Siemens to Citibank, Citibank to HDFC. I was the first VPHR at HDFC Bank. And we pretty much set up the building foundation base, if you will.
Absolutely.
And then came along a certain Mr. Bill Gates wanting to start Microsoft India. And I was picked up a cross section of choices and candidates. And then I joined Microsoft. And then that's how my career started. But the key highlight was there comes in a life a very twisty decision. Should I drop and take, and what if I don't get the Gordon Medal? Or, no, I'll take all the three, and then you lose both. So, these are very twisty, and you need to take somewhere the gut and the gumption, what I call the intuition, and an inner intelligence, if you will, from the heart has to respond. No amount of leveraging statistical analysis will ever give you the answers. You need to go with something inner, right? And therefore you build your consciousness and all that. So that has been my career. And then I went on to work with various corporations. Very fortunate to have worked overseas. And then eventually my career took me to actually a P&L role at KPMG. And consulting taught me huge. It really took me to the next level of business leadership. And my last role at Oracle, really I was part of the strategy and transformation team for the entire Asia Pacific for driving Oracle's suite of products. So that's my very brief.
That's fantastic. In fact, Dr. Pramod, the decisions what you took in the academic side, I think has paid off very well for your corporate leader, I suppose. Probably I would say India would have lost the one bureaucrat, efficient and effective breath. And thank you very much for your academic background and a brief history of that. And I'd like to go to the next question, Dr. Pramod. Is that see, today you are the founder and CEO of TalentSmith Consulting. You offer, I guess, C-suite services across the spectrum of corporate leaders. So would you be able to share something about what exactly TalentSmith Consulting does?
Yeah. And just as a precursor to that, the other hat I wore, which you and I never spoke of, is I've been teaching for the last 25 years at a lot of business schools. It's purely out of passion and a selfish reason that when you teach, you actually learn. I consider myself a student for life. Unquestionably, I want to have that modesty throughout my life. So what happened was, when I used to go and teach at this IIM Bangalore, Calcutta, IIM Ahmedabad, one thing led to the other, and I started doing a lot of MDP programs, which then made me a coach, an executive coach for a lot of MDP programs at these prestigious institutes. So what really took off was in 2004, I was invited by the Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, to be part of their empaneled executive coaches for their flagship product called LSTM, which is Leadership Skills for Top Management. For the last 14, 15 years, I'm empaneled with Indian School of Business as a coach, which I co-teach with the faculty from London Business School, with whom ISB has a tie-up. Why I'm giving you this background is, when I was thinking of starting on my own, it is pure serendipity. I bumped into a very senior Harvard graduate, Harvard CEO, Harvard qualified CEO at Singapore Airport Waiting Lounge. And he's saying, that's your amazing strength. The number of people who graduated under you have gone on to become huge leaders. So don't give away that power, though you're doing great at Oracle. The other thing was, I was invited to a keynote speaker at TIE Ahmedabad, TIE Ahmedabad. One thing led to the other. About 300 people said, hey, can you come and coach us in the mentoring space, in the organizational building space? That was the impetus behind saying, let me start TalentSmith Consulting. And the magic behind TalentSmith is, one day I was going in my car and I saw some Lakshmi goldsmith. So I was wondering, what does goldsmith do? He takes raw gold and converts it to beautiful ornaments. What have I been doing for the last 25 years? I take raw talent, whether it's at the MBA schools, mid-level managers, or the C-suite people. I further sculpture and nurture them and help them facilitate. They do everything. I just coach them to become further superior leaders. That was the birth of TalentSmith Consulting. So 4 verticals. One, very clearly drawing on my experience at Oracle and KPMG, helping people complete business transformation assignments, A to Z. all right,
Mhm.
which includes change management, culture transformation, digital transformation, of which I
Yes.
learned a lot at Oracle because nowadays everything is going on in digital. So that was one, vertical one. Number two, I'm a certified Marshall Goldsmith coach. Though I had
Yes.
15 years of coaching, I thought one of the greatest coaches in the globe right now is Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. I registered myself and got certified by him. So I'm a certified. He's got a special niche called stakeholder centered coaching, and I really wanted to do that. So I got that. And so the second vertical I run is a coaching for a lot of C-suite executives, taking them
Mhm.
from the current level to the next higher level. All right,
Mhm.
and it starts with actually coachability assessment. The third thing is courtesy TiE Ahmedabad. Guess what? Serendipity again. One thing led to the other. I've now landed up trying to nurture about 10 to 15 startup guys,
Oh.
entrepreneur startup guys,
Mhm.
young engineers, people with 4 or 5 years of IITIM experience, and a whole lot
Mhm.
of those. And it's
Mhm.
fascinating help them build an organization. And the
Mhm.
last thing I do is a broad-based, complete, comprehensive HR consulting if and when people call up. So I have a team of about 12 people. We run that. It's purely on a success-based kind of a thing. So I can guarantee success with a lot of inner confidence and conviction. So that's what
Mhm.
TalentSmith does. And I've got a range of consultants, no names here, obviously. Do not want to come across as marketing, but some marquee brands and amazing, amazing reference that we've got.
Wonderful, wonderful, Dr. Pramod. You have the host of services, the gamut of services which you are offering
Yes,
for across the
yes.
spectrum of society, starting from students to entrepreneurs to corporates. So that would
Thank
really
you.
help me to go to the segment B. Thank you.
Sure.
The segment B, now we are in segment B, where this is specifically designed for corporate executives
Oh, okay.
and C-suite leaders.
Okay.
I know the people who are studying in B schools probably they can aspire for corporate jobs down the line. So I have a couple of questions to
Sure.
ask you so that I
Sure.
can take your wisdom from your
Sure.
experiences. The
Right.
question goes like this, Dr. Pramod. Could you please share some success stories in the organizational effectiveness practices for the benefit of the corporate executives and some of the challenges that you have actually undergone as a corporate leader?
Okay.
And how did you overcome those challenges in your corporate life?
Oh, that's a very good question because it picks up on my experience rather than just some theoretical knowledge. So my first interesting change, which I had to manage with my career, was when I moved from a German engineering company called Siemens to an American swashbuckling multinational bank called Citibank. And that time, one of the most efficient and very respected bankers called Jerry Rao, he selected me. And, it was a complete change of canvas from a hardcore switchgear, switchboard, motor, right onto the swashbuckling, forex, money markets, international, dollars, this, that. I mean, the foreign exchange and retail banking, investment banking, corporate banking, the whole gamut of banking was an amazing. What is key is I had to quickly re-architect my approach and my solutions because what worked in engineering in a shop floor doesn't work in a bank where by default most people are engineer MBAs,
Mhm.
okay, and they're all discharging a whole lot of entire suite of financial products. Now to
Mhm.
re-architect your HR practices to cater to this, most of them are also type A personalities, short on patients with anything which is not up to their expectations, to really being in a very competitive scape with our competitors, healthy respect for the competitors like BankAm, Bank of America, Grindlay, Stanchart, and all that. So the first major shift in approach and my outlook was that. And one of the biggest things, and I owe this to Mr. Jerry Rao, at a very young age, I was also wearing a hat of global campus manager. So which means I had to make pre-placement talks at the Harvard Business School, MIT, Stanford, and there are 10 business schools, including Stern and LA. That was an amazing experience representing Citibank India to go out there and get people back to India to work for Citibank India. So that was a very interesting change which I did. And then,
Absolutely.
a lot of us, four, five, six, seven of us left Citibank to form HDFC Bank. What was
Mhm.
that experience? It was like doing a startup where I'm not putting my money. It is a startup, right? It was from A to Z. So building the foundation bricks and the of a organizational culture of stock option systems of appraisal systems, complete scope of building an organizational benchmark effectiveness, was a great experience. And then what I really enjoyed in corporate, the challenge was, now look at it, engineering, banking, and in comes the global monolith called Microsoft. And think about it, 95, Microsoft was like, they just launched Windows 95. Mr. Bill Gates was perceived as God. And it was a huge transformation because you run on very thin staff. And a very business oriented HR was what Microsoft groomed me into. And I learned a lot of business. How do you really look at the various metrics of measurement of a business performance, not just HR? A. B, how do you align every which part of HR to accentuate and augment a business efficiency in organization? That was an amazing kind of a thing. That is where I really picked up really my best learning exposure, and I thought it's really built a big business. And then I was picked up by a government of Oman to head a large international bank in Oman, which took me overseas. And that's how the career sort of shaped up. And the fourth big thing was from engineering to retail plus corporate plus investment banking to to a startup to Microsoft. From there, I suddenly go into consulting. Now, consulting is again a very different animal. The readiness with facts, meeting extremely high officials. Look, a client calls you because he needs solution architecture from you. You need to structure, decode an ambiguous situation and provide because he pays you by the hour. And if you do not deliver the value that he's paying you for, you do not have a skin in the game. And so that was another experience. And my last thing was really doing an APAC role, Asia Pacific role, across Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Philippines, the entire Southeast Asia, right? To really prepare a business proposition of selling Oracle suite of products across these countries, though I was based in India, and really make business. And we had very healthy competitors again, the SAPs, the Workdays, and amidst that backdrop, to go and make a dent, a little lot of business, go-to-market strategies, selling, transformation, the whole works, and the consulting piece, which I learned at KPMG, which I put it here. So that has been my journey. And therefore, when I started my consulting, I had a lot of confidence because I've been there, done that, rolled up my sleeves, put on my thinking cap, dirtied the hands, and actually have delivered products for clients. It's not a little thing you do for your boss. It's actually client, and it's up there for evaluation with all metrics, ruthless metrics, and it's bang for the buck or buck for the bank. All right. So that's the kind
interesting.
of
That's interesting. So it kind of, cross-cultural, and the DNA of each organization differ from one to another. So you have traveled, the length and breadth of business sectors and organizations, from banking to engineering to IT to, the multiple things you handle. So that has led to me to ask you a question, like, which is part of my first part of the question, which is each organization has its own ethos, right, to be followed.
Yes.
And how did you really manage when you go from one organization to another organization, because you have been trained and conditioned on one set of DNAs or culture in the organizations? So was it not really kind of a surprise to you when you move from organization to organization? And how
Not
did you
really
manage?
surprised. The mantra is the good question. The mantra is unlearn, learn, relearn, and upskill. Okay. Pick up the best from the previous organization, learn the new architecture, the new culture, the new ethos, quickly adapt and deliver. Very simple. I do not want to complicate it to some complex management model, right? Very simple. A, accept and adapt and adopt, right? Because there are a lot of good things that a new company has to offer you. Again, learn from that. But the most important bottom line is deliver value in any which function for any which client. And for that, you need a combination of an amazing left brain, quick IQ, an awesome EQ. You got to be emotionally intelligent because there are cultural nuances, there are differentials, there's each company has its, you should read an article called Every Organization Has a Smell. Okay, it's a wonderful article written by a professor from London Business School. And that really tells you how while the basic principles are same of human relations, of marketing, but the play out is very different. The sales play is very different, right? And you need to be quick on the uptake and adapt to that culture, but having the humility to come and deliver top-notch value addition and value creation to your customers and to your employers. Once you got that credibility going, people will respect you, and then it becomes easy. So your most toughest opponents actually become your friends when they see you as a coach, as a mentor, as an inclusive guy who's here to help you become more successful. In
True.
fact, Anand, let me tell you one inner trait of mine. My biggest happiness arises when I make somebody else successful. When I
Hmm.
see somebody, whether that's what took me to teaching,
Hmm.
at the ISB and the IIMs, when I make others graduate up, when I take them augmented from one level to next level, immense satisfaction. And best thing
Absolutely.
is people will remember you. And in the process, you also enhance your skills because there's also
Absolutely.
reverse learning, you know.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Like, you beautifully said, like what Alvin Toffler said, unlearn, relearn, and
yeah.
so something fantastic. And
And one more thing, which my Dr. Marshall Goldsmith has written a book on, what got you here won't get you there. That
absolutely.
is the premise of learning, because just because we've been successful in the past, so why is some people who scored distinction in 12th standard are not in cracking 50% in their graduation? People come with high flying colors, and the moment they enter an IIT or an IIM after IIT, they're really floundering because what got you here won't get you there. Every time there's a curvature, every time the graph goes up 90 degrees up. So there's a
True.
huge, and the learning curve becomes very steep and very short. So you got to have the entire wherewithal, IQ, EQ, and everything to really make it happen. And most
Absolutely.
important, passion. Passion.
You said it very well. In fact, I have reserved few of your thoughts for the students in my segment D,
Oh, okay.
perhaps.
Okay,
So,
sure. Yeah.
actually, one of the biggest takeaway from the last 3 minutes of your talk is all about the flexibility, what you portrayed and demonstrated in your career,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
has, I think, took you to the different, stature. So, thank you very much for that. And
Right.
I'll go to the next question, Dr. Pramod. Is that please share some best business decisions and how it has, I mean, you have taken and how it has made you grow in the corporate ladder.
Okay, if you're expecting me to say, "Oh, I strategically planned everything," no, I want to be humble enough to say some of them was serendipitous in their nature. An accident happened, a positive one, which took me from engineering to Citibank. I really had not planned it, but things worked out, and I wanted to have a new experience. Right. Similarly, my going abroad was again a serendipity. In fact, the offer was done on the flight between Delhi to Bombay. Okay, very interesting. You never make this, and then you evaluate, and then you think. Then moving from an hardcore HR, solid depth and range of experience, then moving to a P&L role was exciting, a little scary, a little intimidating. But listen, as somebody has said, a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for. So you kind of want to edge. And if every day you're not challenging yourself and trying to push your comfort zones out a little and go into a little bit of challenge, you really want to enjoy it in a very staid, at least definitely not in your first 50, 60 years. All right.
Mm,
So that took
mhm,
me to a business role. And again, my last job, I mean, somebody saw my 2 videos on YouTube. I'm really
mhm,
telling you this.
mhm.
I'd delivered I'm a frequent speaker on a speaking circuit. I deliver a lot of lecture for CII and NASCOM at a lot of business conferences. So somebody saw those 2 or 3 videos on YouTube,
Mhm.
and that somebody was Oracle. And they said,
Oh,
look, I think you got what it takes for us to drive the entire customer engagement, marketing, go to market strategies, and sales, and the entire cycle of pushing the Oracle suite of products. And that's how Oracle happened. All right. So it's a mix of strategy, it's a
mhm,
mix of serendipity, it's a
mhm.
mix of grabbing the opportunities that came your way, and most important, hunger to always learn and challenge yourself. So that today, when I sit in a consulting role, I've got this amazing breadth of engineering, retail, corporate, investment, IT, consulting, ITs, and sales, hardcore sales and marketing. I've worked with American organization and British organization and German companies. So sector-wise, geography-wise, it's all a wonderful mix, which today positions me very humbly but very confidently to serve out my clients at Talent Consulting.
I really appreciate that, Dr. Pramod, and I really appreciate the humility in which you presented this, the blend of multiple things which led you to this current position. So I really appreciate that. A lot
That's
of
all there
takeaways.
is. Yeah, I mean,
Lot
everybody's
of
smart.
lot of takeaways for
Yeah,
the corporate, the
sure,
executives and
sure,
people who aspire to become whatever they want to become in the corporate life.
sure.
So this has given me another cue to ask you the third question on the segment B, which is where do you see the new normal? We are all in current pandemic situation. The current new normal, which is heading, I don't know where, in terms of global corporate scenario. So how
Yeah.
do you really look at this as an industry expert?
Okay, so this has become a default question and subject for discussion across all T groups and everyone. Everybody's dealing with it. I'll try and give my humble perspective with some of the clients I'm working on transformation result of this new normal. I'm actually working with some companies. How should they overcome? So the first thing is, which is well known, but might as well reiterate it, because if you're, and that is, I'm reminded of a wonderful song by Bee Gees. Bee Gees is an American music group. They've got a song called "Staying Alive." Okay, the first thing is really take whatever it takes to stay alive. You got to stay alive to progress further, and so whatever health, hygiene, and all that. That's, I think, and why am I saying this very basic thing? A lot of people are actually overlooking it, and it's very
Mm.
sad to see some talented people dying due to corona, whether it's
Yes,
doctors or some of the working professionals. Now it
yes.
may they've taken all the care, but it was bad time for them. But I think that's a common denominator, and let's get to deal with the brass tacks first. That having come, do you have the heart and the mind to take on unbelievable, unprecedented disruptions, mayhem, this bloodbath going out there? Business models are all going. Look at it in the US, Macy's, JC Penney, Nordstrom, you name a company, they have bitten the dust. British
Yes,
Airways doesn't fly anymore. These are big employers. Lufthansa has grounded a lot of planes and pilots are off roles,
yes.
right? The other day, with due respect, and it's a public news, so I'm taking the name, otherwise I respect everybody's business models. A company announced 18,000 people going to be laid off. You know, I mean, this is never heard of. And it's
Yes.
got nothing to do with your character, nothing to do with your past performances, your deliverables, and your panache and prowess. It is just ruthless business results, right? How do you do it? How do you deal with it? And it's very interesting. In fact, just before coming here, and I really want to show it here, I mean, hats off to this genius. He goes by the name of Mr. Ratan Tata, and he says, and just look at this article is given in Business Standard, okay, and just see this is an article in Business Standard, and he says layoff during pandemic shows India Inc.'s lack of empathy. Let me show it bright and clear. Can you see it, Anand?
Yeah, I am not able to clearly see
Okay,
that. Okay,
okay. I'll
okay.
send this article, and this
Yeah.
came on 23rd. Okay, we are on the
Mhm.
26th today, and this is his photograph, and all he's saying is it's the easiest thing to cut people, people who made you successful, people
Mhm.
who helped you during your bad times. So I
Mhm.
think the most important thing is out there dealing with the new normal is, do you have a balancing of left brain with the right brain? And
Mhm.
right brain is about compassion, is
Mhm.
about empathy. And that's what Mr. Ratan Tata is saying. There are other people like Azim Premji, Narayan Murthy. I mean, these are brilliant leaders, right? I know there is livelihood to be done. There's commerce in the economics. I'm
Yes.
equally smart about it, savvy about it, but not at the cost of basic values in life. In fact, I would invite people to a debate which I'm going to conduct called values versus valuation. And
Mhm.
it's more to do with entrepreneurs and startups. Are you
Mhm.
going to compromise values to have a high valuation? Or
Mhm.
I will say, or will you say, I'm okay with lesser valuation, but compromising on values over my dead body? And
Mhm.
that involves human lives first. So let's
Wonderful.
get the thing. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and sustainable companies are those like Mr. Ratan Tata who really breathe this philosophy and
Yes.
practice it. But the first thing I would like to say is this new normal is here to stay, and everybody knows that. What are the changes you need to do at mind, body, heart, and spirit level, spiritual
Mhm.
level? How are you
Mhm.
going to re-architect? How are you going to renew yourself? Those
Mhm.
days are gone, and I'm not going far away. Just pre-March was a different ball game. And
Mhm.
again, I'm tempted to repeat Marshall Goldsmith, what got you here won't get you there. Whatever worked for you till March of 2020 is kaput, is not working. From a vendor, from an electrician, from a lab technician to high grade scientists in marketing, and it's mayhem. And which are the industries which are most hit? Aviation, hospitality, right?
Mhm.
Retail. In some companies, IT, ITS, because they're not able to sustain the cost. Cost is becoming an overriding factor, right? And market is full of competitors. Some people are also actually advancing in this economy. Pharmaceutical, healthcare, those guys are going to make big money. But
Absolutely.
hospitals are really empty now because they're not going to. So this has caused a confusion and unprecedented mayhem. And most important, Anand, this is the bad news. This new normal has disrupted the psychosocial space, the
True.
way we relate with people, our
True.
relationships. This is not to do with business. It's about me and my DNA and my social architecture, if you will. How am I dealing with them? What am I doing with that? Am I still having the same? The other day I was telling somebody, there's a wonderful expression which is called grace under pressure. It normally means, are you really still savvy and very gracious even when you're under pressure? And I am playing with the words here. I'm saying grace, comma, under pressure, which means good qualities, which you and others would be very nice. I mean, in a lift, I would say, "Oh, Mr. Anand, please go ahead." But if there's a fire, will I run to save myself, or will I run to save me and you together both? Right now, it's fire out there. So what ball game are companies playing? How many different multi dimensions they're dealing with? The social, the profit oriented, the planet oriented, the government policies, ethics, and something like values. It's easier said than done. So this whole, and therefore I believe this new norm is going to invite different breed of managers and
Okay.
leaders, because
Okay.
what you did until yesterday ain't gonna work. You need to carry people, and you know what, guess what, should vaccine come in another 3 or 4 months, you'll be past all this, but some damage would have been done and you need to carry it from there. That time, will you still be a respected leader? Will people still want you as a boss? Because if today you're laying off people, tomorrow they lay you off, they don't want you, because
True.
came bad times, you did not show and stood up as a man who counted.
Absolutely. You said it so nicely. You nailed it actually. So let me ask you a last portion of the same subject, which would
Right.
really help the viewers to
Mhm.
pick up the thread and start practicing it. So
Right,
could you
right.
could you tell three things which the corporate executive, the C-suite leaders have to follow during this new normal scenario to become what they have to become?
One thing is you have got to have a great nose to smell and anticipate the changes which are coming in.
Okay.
Otherwise, you will be just stuck in the current way. You need to have that anticipation and that foresight for which you can use data analytics, data scientists, what have you. An absolute thing. Number two, on an average, everybody has to go up the curve of technology,
Okay. That's good.
from a milkman to a maidservant. So if you have an allergy or if you have an okay tech perspective, overnight you need to sort of up that, because the world of artificial intelligence. I was seeing this video by 2025, March 31st. Can you believe it? Everything will be facial recognition. You'll not even have to carry a wallet. When you go to a mall, your billing will be done based on a facial recognition. All right. So with that kind of a challenge, so second piece is a huge tech grasp. And the last the third thing is, I mean, there are a lot of things, but in terms of order, I think you still need to retain the humanity and the humility, empathy.
Perfectly.
Without that, you'll be dead. I would call it, if there is an IQ and EQ, I would call it the spiritual quotient. And by that I mean a very higher power of awareness and raising your power of consciousness, and still be available as a very mature, astute leader like Mr. Ratan Tata. Despite all this, he's saying, wait a minute, there's a human lives here concerned. Now,
True.
I've run businesses, so I'm not trying to be naive here. The business have to be run, but I think with your heart in the right place, you can strike that balance.
Wonderful, wonderful takeaways. So those 3 points are really, really interesting one. I'm
This
sure
is based on my experience. Yes.
I'm sure the corporate executives and professionals would take notes of all these very wisdom packed insights shared by Dr.
Yeah.
Pramod.
Sure.
Dr. Pramod, now we are moving into the third segment, which is segment C,
Oh,
which is going to deal with entrepreneurs and startup organizations.
right.
So the MSMEs, the micro, small, medium enterprises and startup
Yes.
organizations
Yes.
undergo
Yes.
phenomenal stress both on the financial side as
Yeah.
well as the
Yeah.
market in general.
Yes.
So I have a
Yes.
couple of questions to ask you, because since you coach a lot of entrepreneurs and
Right.
startup ventures. So
Right.
the question goes like this. The first question to you is about what is the next big thing an entrepreneur should foresee as an opportunity?
Um, because of the disruption and bloodbaths that this COVID-19 has brought about, the next bunch of entrepreneurs will be those who will actually operate in the domain of bringing back products, processes, services, what have you, the normalcy as close as possible, though it will never be the same again. Okay.
Hmm.
Anybody who identifies that niche, all right, and has an idea, okay, I think that guy will really be the person that entrepreneurship will be doing that. Okay. But equally is the fact that just when chips are down, everything else is also down, especially if your morale is disturbed. Okay, oh, there is this is really going to lead to a very disastrous situation. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to have three times, quadruple times the inner energy and DNA, if you will, of an average person. You know what they call the inner guts to really sustain this period and do that. And
Correct.
obviously, an extremely sharp brain to identify. I'll give you an example. I'm right now working with an entrepreneur. Guess what he's doing, Anand? He is now developing, Hindus in Indian ladies, they put a bindi here, right? They put
Yes.
a bindi. He is now
Yes.
developing an AI based bindi, which you can put on your hand, which will tell you
Uh,
over 48 hours whether you're a future COVID victim or not. How's that?
oh, okay.
Now, see, this guy,
Interesting.
yeah,
Hmm.
and instead of getting browbeaten by COVID, oh, what will I do? He's a techie. He's taking that AI methodology, and instead of taking the oxy pulse meter, which is
Yeah.
costing about
Yeah.
2,000, 3,000 bucks, he's now got a
Yeah.
bindi, which people, you need to put it on your wrist here. And if you're a
Okay.
potential victim, in 48 hours, the color changes and it's got its reading in a meter which is got, and before it gets worsens, you're pre-warned, you are about to catch or get infected, please go and see the
Oh,
doctor. Now,
wow.
this is what I call innovation, ideation. The second
Mhm.
thing which I think entrepreneurs will now to do is how can they leverage the entire digital technology, the entire bots, machine learning, because any which service which will now have to go into that bandwagon, all right, whether it's the bots you see in an Amazon store or wherever. So entrepreneurs will need to see how they can make life sustainable based on this disruption. The regular continuous improvement will always keep happening, but the breakthrough technology will be how can you crack this and use this tipping point to go to the
Mhm.
next orbit of excellence by really evolving products which will cater to the global customers. I
Wonderful.
think
Wonderful.
that is a very key thing.
Mhm.
And the last thing is, which I think entrepreneurs, which are a lot in the biotechnology space, because going forward,
Mhm.
see, people already talk about second wave. Now, look, are you a person once bitten twice shy? So have you learned your lessons from March, April, or are you still sitting tight? Oh, it's all over. And therefore, see, wherever the lockdown has been lifted, numbers are quadrupled because people have thrown
Correct.
caution to the winds. So, are you going
Correct.
to prepare? So, the second category of entrepreneurs will be already anticipating. I told you, the smell for change. If they are going to say the second wave, so are you now going to be smarter, or are you going to repeat the same mistakes? And that's a
Mhm.
huge space. And right now, I've been working with about 20 people, all young engineering students, about 2021, who do not want to go to an IITM because they've got a brilliant idea. And they're saying, if not now, then when? Disruption is actually a wonderful crisis to be wasted. You know,
Yeah.
you should never waste. So people are exploiting that opportunity. So anybody who can think out of this, like this guy who's coming out with the red dot, which will give you an AI-based learning metrics about COVID or not. I think interventions like that, entrepreneurs are going to be lapped up. The third thing will be the e-commerce space. Yeah, and there's a huge thing there. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So three things which I have learned, during your conversation. Now, one is about the value proposition, two is
Yeah.
about the innovation, three is
Yeah.
about technology adoption. So something
Yes.
fabulous for the small business owners and MSME to take a cue of it.
Yeah.
And I have another question which is connected again back to the entrepreneurs. The
Sure.
question is like, see, you provide a lot of strategic advice to entrepreneurs and business owners.
Right. Right.
So, with respect to business survival, today we are not talking about survival. We're
Yeah.
not talking about growth. The growth story is
Right.
going to come later, much later.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
2021,
Yes.
we look at only the
Yes.
survival. And
Yes.
22 onwards, perhaps we can talk about growth. So,
22 onwards
what kind
growth.
of
Yes.
outlook? What kind of outlook or steps to be taken or advice can be given to the entrepreneurs and business owners?
See, today, if you take this category of startups and entrepreneurs, I mean, it's a little bit of a mixed category. There are, 63 million employees, MSMEs, and the various data that you can get from Google. The most important thing is the government recognizes you if you're below 25 crores and if you're less than 7 years. Why I'm saying this is that the mushroom growth of companies and the budding entrepreneurs will fall into that category. There is a government enablement, okay? Not to miss out that entire value chain of angel investors, seed funds, angel investors, private equity players, the venture capitalists. They're all going to be there available, and never has been so much of availability of people who are willing to fund you. You know, no names here, but some big guys have funded some really humble startups who have gone on to
Yes.
make very big contributions. All right, in the Indian context. Right now, I'm restricting to Indian context. So one of the things that people will have to be do is the ideation and the creative specs. If you take an Excel spreadsheet, your rows could be the challenge and the columns could be your ideation. That cell which forms between the row and the margins of a row, and that is a niche to be really, really exploited. And the big SOP for entrepreneurs is there are people who are willing to bet money, especially if you're in the domain of primary healthcare, biotechnology, and anything
Mhm.
which augments life sustainability in every which part of it. That is a space to be. Of course, the other incremental improvements will always be there, and that will. But the big change, the game changers, will be the people who are going to really upset the system in a positive way, so that the
Mhm.
humanity at large is going to be benefited.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
that's the space. Yeah,
Wonderful. So this allowed me to ask another question, which is connected directly to startup advisors.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Good.
what would you suggest startup advisors, the startup aspirants, not advisors, startup aspirants, and how do they prepare themselves to face the new world during this pandemic and after the pandemic is over?
Okay. Firstly, the moment you want to do a startup, more than anything else, I respect all the startup guys for their passion and guts. Yes or no?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They can always play safe and take another job in a bank or in a corporate,
True.
right?
True.
And they're capable. Some of them are engineer MBAs, but they
Yes.
have this junoon, and there's a word in Urdu called shiddat, a junoon
Mm-hmm.
and shiddat, passion,
Mm-hmm.
just to
Mm-hmm.
make that change. And lots of
Mm-hmm.
them. In fact, when I was part of a angel investors meet in Jaipur, I met
Mm-hmm.
51 startup guys, all
Mm-hmm.
under 25 years of age.
Oh.
And they're all resisting the temptation of going for a safe play of a corporate job. So
Mm-hmm.
first thing is having a big heart, Anand. If you do
Mm-hmm.
not have a big heart, don't touch it. B,
Okay.
Interestingly, this second quality, which I'm going to say, is as much required in the hardcore, ruthless business environment as much as in spiritual pursuit. And the word is patience.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if you talk to any spiritual saint, one of the qualities you'll observe is patience. You got to
Mm-hmm.
have a huge patience.
Mm-hmm.
Third, I don't think really great startups going to make money there. They go for
Okay.
the passion of an idea. Money will come in,
Absolutely.
right?
Correct.
So I think that, acha, the second thing, and this I'm really humbly requesting, because when I do the value versus valuation game, a lot of guys get tempted to make money and they fall by the wayside. Please, may I request, be very ethical,
Okay.
because there are a lot of temptations for you to cut corners. In the long run, you will not sustain, and even if you do, you'll not be respected. First of all, you won't sustain because you'll be spotted and flushed out, right? And when I say ethics, not just the funding part, respect for human qualities and maintaining an ecosystem on the principles of governance and ethics. Very, very important. The third part, I think you got to have an immense capacity for investment of not just money, but ideas and people. If
Mm-hmm.
that is violated, I'm sorry, I'm using a strong word, if for a
Mm-hmm.
short term gains, and look, you will have a dip, but that's when I would bring in a thing called vision, right? How do you deal with
Mm-hmm.
volatility in a VUCA? The only way to deal with volatility is to have a vision, so that you're not jumping and responding to a temporary volatility, the highs and lows of a sine curve, the crest and trough. You're not responding to that. The
Correct.
the second thing, in that league, in that phase, is ability to, when going gets tough, you're saying people are looking up to you as a leader. And I would say, welcome, buddy. You thought you're a great leader? Now is the chance. When the going is great, everybody has a twang in their walk and no twang in their talk and a swag in their walk, as they say. It's when tough times come in. Are you still the lone man standing, like Mr. Tata's and the Azim Premjis and other people? And that's right. That father figure that you need to have of soft qualities. And listen, I'm not touching on metrics and balance sheet because that's a given. And also, Anand, that's a commodity today. Technology has
True.
got commoditized. What is the difference between the people who ran the race and won it, and people who say, or Me Too or an also ran. It's not
True.
the left brain qualities. It is a lot of right brain qualities, including deep
Absolutely.
values. Because people will come and stick with you only if they see a vision and a long-term sustainable capacity.
True.
I think
True.
those are the things which I'm coaching around now. Acha, the last thing is, how do you build culture? Is
Mm.
culture immediately formed? No. It's a catch-22 situation. Slowly and steadily it's built up, but never violate the basic fabric of a culture which has made you successful. No, it's classic size versus excellence. Your small size, you achieve this big of excellence. Therefore, you become a big size and then excess drops down. And I will
True.
not take names here. A lot of companies who started small had a great culture. They went from strength to strength. Now they're so big, the culture is really rotting. And therefore,
Hmm.
people are falling off and they're losing the
Hmm.
market share because they're now
Hmm.
become too big and they took their eye off the ball, as they say in
Hmm.
a manner of speaking, of culture and people.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I'm not trying to be here a softy HR guy. I'm a hardcore business transformation coach. And let me tell you, you will not be successful without that excellent coaching. And here, Anand, I'm wanting to make this point, especially for startup guys. Listen, you can't see your own back. Plus, you're bogged down by the gravity of transactions. You need to get specialists. And that's how I got
True.
invited. And I'm saying this because when people invited me, they're saying, hey, Pramod, we are too busy fighting fires. Can you come and be this guy? And the other thing, Anand, is I do not run the risk of being seen as a political guy because I'm not in the system. And
Okay.
sometimes the
Mm.
gravitas of politics can kill the best of organization. It's a
True.
bit like termite, which can just enter with one worm and then it spreads and the organization collapses. No names,
Correct.
but we're all seeing it here. And therefore, that
True.
having that executive
True.
coaching, that business coaching, a man who can see from a 30,000 feet high and yet has got his feet completely immersed is the guy you want to watch out for. To use a simple, I'm right now using a bifocal lens. Be a bifocal leader. Short lens to see the short immediate thing so that you know day-to-day fire, but you also have a long view so that you have a strategic view.
Wonderful. What more?
Yeah,
What more? What more one can learn from this? Superb. So
yeah,
this is really good. In fact, we are talking on the startup entrepreneurs and
yeah,
the startup ventures. You
yeah,
nicely put across, nicely shared, and I think right from the beginning, I'm able to see one thing in
yeah,
your insight, which is all about ethics, which is all about humility, which is all
yeah,
about humanity. In general, at large, which is always a part of your insight, which is something fabulous. That's the reason why I think you really grew to this stature. So I really appreciate Dr. Pramod. And Dr. Pramod, now we have come to the end of the show with the last session, which
okay,
is segment D,
okay,
which is one of the most favorite subject of yours and mine, which is
yes,
about
absolutely.
the millennials, which
Students,
is about students, the
millennials and students,
millennials
yes,
and
yes,
youth. Yeah.
yes.
So I have
So,
three questions to ask you.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead,
Go
go ahead.
ahead. You want to say something?
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. Go ahead. No, what I was
All
trying to
right.
say was I've been teaching for the last 20 years. I've covered about 50 B
Yeah.
schools plus in India and overseas. And I love being with these youngsters. Firstly, they're brighter than me, so I get to learn a
True.
lot. Secondly, they've got amazing passion, and these are my future leaders. So they come up with a fabric of a balanced right brain centricity and left brain centricity. Guess
True.
what? India is going to rock with that amazing prowess and cerebral talent that these millennials bring. I'm a huge fan of
Wonderful.
them and I love to work
Great.
with them. Yeah. And
Great.
therefore, in a year,
Uh,
I do plenty sessions, or 20, 30 sessions. In fact, let me tell you, I've got a product called Purani Jeans to Armani Suit. It's my patented product, which means Purani Jeans is campus corridor, symbolic. You know, we all wore jeans in our campuses.
yeah.
To Armani Suit is the corner office. What is the journey from Purani Jeans to Armani
Okay.
Suit? And that's where I
Okay.
come and build the blocks. And I'm coaching a lot
Okay.
of faculties. I'm coaching a lot of students and millennials and startups.
This is very, very
Amazing.
creative because this is very, very creative. We talk
Yes.
about corporate, campus to corporate. So you
Yeah.
really redefine the whole stuff. I guess this is going to be the new normal in the academic side. So
Well,
I
I
have
hope
seen
so.
one of your programs in the YouTube channel. You have a lot of YouTube videos about your
Yeah.
program. So I
Yes.
watched one of
Yes.
your videos on Purani Jeans, and it's something
Armani Suit.
fantastic.
Yes.
So
Yes.
let me take three questions to you.
Sure.
One is about could you please share your insights about job market scenario for 2020 and 2021?
Sure. So, I was reading a CMI report, Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, around March, the total number of job losses was 122 million, including all the sectors. That's horrific. I'm talking of India only, all right? But the good news is, I read the same report in that has come down. So about 70 million people, there's been a backfill. So the delta is now 50 million. Okay, so there is improvement happening. So good news. Come September, come October, and hopefully by first quarter, things should start shaping up because the world has to get back to business. All right, world has to come back to business. So job market will improve. But as we speak today, make no mistake, CEOs and CFOs are only chasing one metric apart from sustainability is cost margins. The margins are
Okay.
really under pressure, be it any which business. So they are definitely going to look at cost and lot of layoffs, no names here, they're all over the Economic Times, you can see them, are actually cost. One company actually asked their HR head to bring a list of people, the CEO said, who are between, let's say, a crore and 1.5 crore, and that is the butcher's list for the day. All right, what contribution they made in the past, what is their pedigree, how well they are, was all respected but not taken into consideration because this guy was looking at shareholder value, stock market value, PE
Okay.
valuation, margins, and all that, and therefore cost is going to be on huge. The second trend I've seen is I've been speaking to a lot of headhunters, and we all meet up in various forums on e-channels. Backfill positions are not happening. So
Okay.
somebody leaves today, they are filling that position through an internal resourcing. So that is
Okay.
going to remain for at least next 4 or 5 months. Okay, very very critical. The third thing is there will be jobs. There will be jobs in health sector, in AI, machine learning, bots. There will be jobs. People are getting hired, but it's not 50 gone, 50 taken, 50 gone, 10 taken in. All because a double lethal cocktail of technology interventions. In fact, a lot of HR functions today are at risk because they're all being grabbed up by the AI, machine learning, and bots, right?
Technology. Yeah.
The digital technology, right? So technology with the cocktail of finance can make a lethal combo for not giving a good news to jobs. Having said
Okay.
that, having said that, the world has to come back to business. It can't go on. And therefore, I want to use a wonderful spiritual saying: when the pupil is ready, the master arrives.
True.
Watch my life. When the pupil
True.
is ready, the master arrives. Why I'm giving this analogy and what I'm trying to say is when the jobs come, are you ready to be hireable? So my tip to
Okay.
people is learn your new skills. Go beyond the A square paper. Go build values and knowledge, whether it's digital, whether it's video editing, whether it's presentation skills. By the way, I coach a lot of people on presentation skills and professional speaking. That's a huge $1 billion business. All right.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
art and science. What use is a great idea if you're not able to transmit? Okay, coming back.
True.
So use this wonderful opportunity, and Harvards and the Whartons and Stanfords are right now offering a lot of free courses from NLP to video editing to anything, emotional intelligence. So grab those skills. So my thing to
Okay.
students is don't be decimated and sit down, oh, what happens? Be ready when the opportunity comes up. Yes, IT, ITES, retail, aviation, hospitality are going to take a hit. But there has to be a resurgence of economy. It can't go on like this. That time,
Correct.
when are you ready? So my tip to them is grab and make yourself ready with the arsenal that is required to deal with the 21, 22. It's going to be intimidatingly challenging. And a lot of that is going to be heavily under the umbrella of technology and AI driven. That time, when
Absolutely.
there's an opportunity, you and I should not be found wanting.
True. So
So
you
I'm
should be
seeing a lot of
ready. You
passion.
should be you should be ready ahead of time. That's what you meant.
Yes, yes, that's
So
right.
that's fantastic. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
I'll go to the next question for the youth and students.
yeah.
How would you look at Industry 4.0 and digital era, which is actually now happening,
Yeah.
and keeping the current pandemic in mind? Because we have been talking about Industry 4.0 and digital era for more than 2-3 years now. So, current pandemic in mind. So, how do you really look
Yeah.
at
Okay. I would
going forward?
invite, yeah, I would invite everybody, and I'm saying this as a hardcore professional. Don't read anything else into it. I would really invite you all to watch the recorded AGM speech of Reliance, which was held about last week.
True.
Oh my God. That company's AGM was nothing short of a completely technology presentation. All right.
True.
And the way Mr. Amani and his team really showcased the cloud, the 5G, the disruption that's going to happen in the entertainment industry, the way jobs are going to be changing their formats, the way
The
HR
glass.
jobs are going to change, the
Yeah.
Geo Glass, to
Yeah.
various other. I would really invite people, if you have not watched it, it's there on the YouTube, go and watch it. If nothing else, forget the prowess of that amazing company, but you'll get a lot of insight into. I mean, what more can I say? Two global leaders made an appearance in the AGM, Mr. Mark
Mm.
Zuckerberg and Mr. Sundar Pichai. For them to come and make a pitch in that and to actually invest money in Reliance is a huge statement of that company's amazing passion, prowess, and performance. Right?
True.
Why am I digressing to quote that example? Because it's fresh in my memory, and I was absolutely overawed by the onslaught of technology, the way it's going to change, the way the world of work is going to completely transform. So, my belief is, irrespective of whether you're an arts graduate, a finance graduate, a CFO, CMO, supply chain, whatever, you got to equip yourself with the arsenal of digital technology that's going to be coming in a huge impactful way, right? And therefore, for you to be ready when the opportunities come is extremely so. Going forward, I would recommend students, apart from the domain competence, do not be like a horse, which has got, Tonga, which has got like this, the eye shades or whatever you call it, blinders. Sorry, you got to be very, very open. The second thing I would tell people is, do not get bogged down by the fact that you've done a certain course. You got to be open because the course could be very irrelevant going forward.
Correct.
Whichever course you've done, because the entire
Correct.
landscape. The third thing, Anand, because the
Correct.
student community, the basic way of learning itself is going to change. With online teaching, it's going to be hybrid. I know there are a lot of positives about attending classes, but guess what? It's going to be online. So, what is the speed of assimilation? How are you going to apply it? What is the proof of concept you bring about it? How do you do a POC to business model? And then, having built a business model, how will you make it sustainable? And having made it sustainable, how it's going to address three things: people, profit, and planet. If what you
Okay.
do is not going to address the planet, you won't be alive anyway, right? If you're not going to do profits, you won't be alive, and you got to take care of those. So the three P's have to be addressed, but the
Mm.
field is very vast. I'm very optimistic, and not naively, not stupidly, based on very strong gut and because we've come through a lot of crisis in the past. This too shall pass, and you need to come back strong and be ready with that.
Great.
Especially, I'm requesting students to equip themselves with including linguistic skills, social skills, presentation skills, soft skills, very important. How do you handle a conflict? How do you manage silos? How do you manage a matrix reporting? You're dotted into one and direct into dotted into A, direct into B. And what if A and B don't get along? You're sandwiched. Do you have those skills? And most important, an inner skills of heart, of patience, of ethics. These may or may not be taught in business schools. You need to pick this up. Do not expect
True.
everyone to feed you. So I think that's a comprehensive challenge, which I think it will come across.
Fantastic. I think you have covered the gamut of insights, which will be of great help to the youth and students
Okay.
fraternity
Yeah.
at large. So, thank you so much for connecting all the dots which are required, starting from corporate life,
You're welcome.
entrepreneurs, startup, and students. So, this shows
Thank you.
your 25 plus years of journey. Started as a studio student in your back in school days, and right up to the current stature of yours as a CEO of Talents with Consulting and founder as well. So, with that insight, I think we have come to the end of the
Okay.
conversation, Dr. Pramod.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
must say my heartfelt thanks and my gratitude to you for having accepted my invitation to be part of my show.
You're welcome.
And if you have any last final word about our conversation, you are free to share. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So first thing is, thank you very much for your kind words. But let me be very modest about it. It's not all just my work and my intelligence. There are a whole lot of factors. There are a whole lot of factors which help you: nature, serendipity, friends, guides, mentors. So it's a combination of everything. So I will not take all the credit. I'm very full of gratitude to people who helped me along the way. So that's one thing. Thank you. It's been wonderful to be invited to share my very solid gravitas driven perspective. Therefore, if you see, I'm not presented any model and any theoretical stuff. It's hardcore business line. And when you hit the road running, you need actual pragmatic approach, boss. Yes,
True.
the doctrine of education will help you, but end of the day, you need to add value and deliver results. My closing thoughts is, firstly, a big thanks to Sea Change. And I think, Anand, you're driving this wonderful intervention because you told me about those 4, 5, 6 other business leaders whom you already got on this chat show of yours. And I'm sure it's adding a lot of value to MSMEs, startups, corporates, and students. And you're doing a great enhancing job, and therefore you are in the business of building other people's strengths, which is a great thing. And just as well that I enjoyed the ethic and the value you bring to the table. My only closing comments, really, when I dip into my heart, is I would like to leave people with 5 C's and 1 H. Number 1, A, have immense clarity. C for clarity. Mind, control, meditation, whatever it is, be calm. I mean, how the heck on earth can you write a balance sheet, prepare a trial and error trial balance sheet if your mind is cluttered? Whether it's because of personal problems or because of VUCA or because of COVID. No way. So get whatever it takes, whether it's yoga or asana or lom vilom, do whatever it takes for you to give your clarity. So clarity. With that clarity, you need to create something. You can't have clarity just for peace of mind. You need to add value to others. Very important. So second C, creation. To create anything in today's world, you need third C, courage. You could be the brightest of the guy. If you do not have a spiritual quality called courage, if you do not have that ethic of taking that risk, you won't move. If you don't ask, you don't get a say. So courage is the quintessential differentiator. And look at all success stories, whether it's in aviation, whether it's in Air Force, whether it's in any which place, you got to have the courage to take bold decisions. Third, you got to be very well connected in today's world. And I have a slogan for it. Your network is your net worth. I repeat, your network is your net worth. Are you sought after person? Are you respected? And respect comes a lot from ethics and your stature, all right? So you need to be very connected. And I'm not saying it's just social media connected. People should look up to you as a role model for just not a left brain capability cerebral, but an amazing human quality. People should trust you. You should be trustable, confident, body language, value-driven, inclusive. So that is the connectedness. And last thing is compassion. In fact, the best thing is, can you convert your passion to compassion? And all the more in COVID-19, there's more compassion needed now than passion. Passion is always there. So I repeat, clarity, creation, courage, connectedness, and compassion. So 5 C's and 1 H, and that H is heartfulness. You do not have heartful qualities. You do not have a large heart. Kiss goodbye to all your intellect. Kiss goodbye to all your connects. Kiss goodbye to all your great ideas. You got to have a big heart to claim that space and take a shot at eternity and leave a stamp of great value addition, because that's the only thing you'll carry with you when you go away. All right. And this is the best time. Crisis is a terrible thing to be wasted, as they say. This COVID is a crisis. Grab it with both the hands. There are people, there are coaches, there are guides. Take help. Do not be afraid to seek help. Seeking help is not a bad quality, but take that help, apply it, and make it a huge success. So Anand, with that, those would be my closing, just a mantra, 5 C's and 1 H. I bet you will make a good difference. And it's one life here. Come on, go away making a huge impact. All the best, and God bless you guys. And thank you, Anand.
Wonderful, wonderful, Dr. Pramod. And this is Dr. Pramod Siddharth Joshi, CEO and founder of Talent Smith Consulting. So I will share all his contact details in my YouTube description.
All right.
So anybody who wants to meet him, you can always tweet him, and he's pretty much active in digital social handles. You can always email him, tweet him, and then connect with him on LinkedIn as well. So with that, I would like to end this show. Thank you very much, Dr. Pramod, and all viewers who are watching this in conversation with. I'll come back to you with the next speaker next Sunday. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you again. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.